So our penultimate speaker is Besim Ali. Besim is the under-23s analyst at Fulham Football Club Academy. He's going to give us a talk on the use of post-match analysis and the process that they use at Fulham. And it's probably also an opportunity to rectify the thought that everyone in the room has got, that analysis at Fulham, just press the play and pause button. Besim, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, that's correct. I'll do a bit more than just clicking buttons. So what I want to go over with you today is how to collect and analyse individual player performance in the PDP at Fulham. So what we've started this year, slightly different compared to the previous years, is we try to make it specific to the individual player. Right, so how can we analyse an individual player's performance post-match? You can provide the player and coaches with statistics, and you can provide the players and coaches with clips, right? So what we do at Fulham is, to get our statistics, we pay Opta for their services. So we just briefly go over that. So you can get in and out of possession for players, right? Then you can get chalkboard graphics where you can see the actions have occurred. And then you can also get the average position on the pitch every time they've touched the ball, where it occurred on the pitch. So if we just quickly go over what Opta do, and then we can try and compare what we do compared to Opta in the individual player analysis performance. So if you have a quick look, we've got the tabs up here. This is on Opta Pro portal. You go from general, distribution to attack to defence, and it provides many metrics across the board for each player. So you can get the amount of long passes each player makes, the accuracy of it, and the different type of passes, right? And it is quite in-depth, and there's a lot of detail. Now in the chalkboard, you can also see where these actions occur on the pitch. So this would be tackles won and lost for a particular player. And this could be the average position of each player, right? Because they're not using location data, it's every time they receive the ball or where they receive it, they have an average position. But what I want to get into now is how we can make it more specific, because it's very generalized with Opta. So what we do at Fulham, each player has 3 targets. It's a mixture of in and out of possession. And what we do is we provide a plus or minus code for each target. And with that, you can get success rates. Each player will have a role on the timeline on sports code, which will be displayed on Huddle, where the player can click on their role and they can specifically just watch the clips of their targets. What you can do with the plus or minus statistics is provide like a line graph or any kind of graph where you can provide a success rate. So if we just go through it now, right, each player has their targets. You won't be able to see it from here, sorry, so I'll just try to read some out. There's timing of runs in behind. There's the quality of crossing, not the number of crossing. There's when to engage and when to jockey, so it's not just tackling. And finishing from crosses, for example, so it's not just finishing, it's a particular action of finishing, so it's actually finishing from a cross. So it's very specific for the player's needs and what they need to work towards. And I think as an analyst, we need to be able to provide objective values on the player's targets to see if they're actually progressing or not. So this is a code we know that we use. If you guys are familiar with sports code, I'll go over this briefly. You'll have the main code, which is the player's name, and then you'll have a label code, which you can link the buttons to the player's name. For example, if you're coding the right back, and he's timed his run in behind well, and it's a positive, you'll click his name, and then you click on timing of runs in behind, positive. It will appear on the timeline like this. This will be on sports code, so you can double click on the player's role, and it will just show their target clips. You can open up a matrix and just go into, if you just want to look at the timing of runs in behind, you just find the role and you just double click on it and you can just view that. Right, so this is a video where the right back there, his target is when to engage and when to jockey. And that was a plus. Even though he didn't make the tackle, he forced the opposition or stopped the opposition from going forward and the ball went out of play and we regained possession. Same here again. He's not actually tackling, he's just forcing them backwards. So he's making the right decision of when to tackle, when to engage and when to jockey. And he's forcing them backwards, the player's not allowed to turn. So it's just an example of like how specific the codes can be, more so than Opta or Instat. That's him there, timing of runs in behind, that's a minus because he's gone too early because the winger didn't have the ball in possession, he didn't secure it and he's made the run early. There he got caught in no man's land, didn't know whether to engage or jockey and the ball's gone beyond him, so that was a negative. So just a bit of an example of like how specific individual coding and analysis can be, and this is what we're doing at Fulham in the PDP phase. Right, so once you've done your codes and you've done all your plus or minus codes, you'll have the statistics that you can put into an Excel sheet. What we're also trying to do at Fulham is we're trying to do it in training. So this is another player, it's a striker, finishing from crosses, plus or minus, and this is just one of his targets that I'm showing you here. He's got two others. You'll have a total of how many times it occurs in training, how many times it occurs in matches, and you can have a look, like there's a big difference between one training session to another, and you can also have a look at his success rate. Right, what you can do is you can have, the numbers are very different from training and matches obviously, because in training his target would be to have him repeat the action, whereas in the game it won't occur as often. But so what you can do is you'll have a different graph for training and for matches. So for today I'm just going to show you the first 7 matches of the striker with his one target finishing from crosses. So the red is a negative every time the balls come in and he didn't finish from a cross, and the blue is a plus, and you can add a line of best fit and you can just see if there is some sort of progression. So what we'd want to see is the red line, if it does start high, we want it to go down, so less negative actions occurring, and we want the blue one to go up. What you can do is you can not show just the total frequency of the plus or minus, you can just show one line, which will be a success rate, and then monitor that along the year. So these are just the first 7 matches. If you do it for the whole season, you might be able to see where he hit form or when he didn't, or if he actually improved from the beginning, his target. Right, so with individual analysis, we can still use general statistics from Opta to help us create the picture, or you can provide us success rates on individual targets, which I'm a big fan of, to be honest. Because that way we can objectively view progression. It's specific to developing the individual player. And what you can do as well is you can provide a benchmark for the next player coming from next season. So if we have an under-18 striker who's coming in to become a first-year pro, but the first-year pro set excellent benchmarks, you can use that as a value to say, all right, this is your target. It's similar to a previous striker to yours, and these are the benchmarks that you can try and hit, because the striker previously who got those values had a good year. And you can do that with all positions across the many targets and just keep collecting benchmarks as years go on. And then you'll be able to objectively see if a player does improve or not. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Besim. I'll take it all back. It's definitely a lot more than just pressing play and pause. I think that presentation goes to show the amount of information that is available to players, and I guess then it's up to them on how they utilise that to enhance their own development pathway.